Is he going to succeed?
My personal opinion, I don't think that he is. Of course, this is the new story that's come out today, that the Prime Minister's big plan to sort of move on from Partygate and to sort of re-win back the trust of the nation and of his party is the NHS now. There's lots of reasons why that might be, quite a sound move. The NHS is still sort of very much at the top in terms of what people look to, in terms of what they're proud of in this country.
Very close to our hearts.
It is very, very close to their hearts, but there's no question that it's taken a real battering over the last few years. That's obvious why. But, of course, also, over the years, there's always an NHS crisis just around the corner. It is something that is woefully mismanaged, doesn't actually do very well, if we're being honest. And it is one of the great sort of mysteries of this country that we sort of cling to it quite so keenly, given that when you compare it to just about every other developed world on the planet, it is the worst one, bar the American system. They are right at the bottom.
Yet we keep saying, don't we? We keep telling ourselves it's the best in the world.
Well, because it was the first of its kind in the world. But the problem is, if you have the first one and then you don't change it or improve it over time, and everybody else goes, that works, that doesn't, we'll take this bit and we'll take that, and we'll leave this bit that doesn't work, then you do end up sort of stuck in the past. And that is, I think, very much the kind of system that we have, is one that is outdated, it's creaking, and it's just gone through a pandemic, and it has an ageing population with a lot of people with very chronic or lifestyle-based illnesses and diseases, which it wasn't necessarily intended for. So obviously, it's the thing that we always talk about is the NHS is on its knees. It's got however many days until it collapses. Thus far, it has not collapsed. Thus far, it has also not been sold off, even though we've had over a decade of Conservative rule, despite what the Labour Party are constantly telling us that it's just around the corner as well. But this is what Boris Johnson thinks is going to be the big thing to distract us all from Partygate, to persuade us all that he's moved on and that it's not an issue. The problem really has to be, has it come way, way, way too late down the line, actually, for this to be salvageable?
I mean, when is he actually going to announce it? And is he going to announce any detail at all about, like, where the money's coming from and where it will go? Because governments don't like tinkering with the NHS because it looks very bad. It's not a vote winner. Just sinking money into it is going to maybe be a waste if it's not done strategically.
Well, of course, unless it comes from tax rises, then it's coming from borrowing, which at some point will be reflected in tax, or a stultified economy at some point anyway. And, of course, that's the bit that nobody really ever wants to talk about, is how much the health service costs. As a proportion of the national spending, it is vast. And, I think when people look at that in the round and they step back and they go, well, hang on, how can it be that we're spending so much more money, for example, on health rather than, say, education, and yet the health service is still doing so poorly? The announcements are set to come this week. The difficulty, of course, with that is, as was revealed in the Times yesterday, the threshold in terms of letters posted into the 1922 committee as to whether or not there is confidence the Prime Minister might have already been met, at which point...
We don't know, do we?
Well, we don't know, but that is the suggestion, that actually, there are stronger whispers now, I think, than at any point, that actually that threshold has been crossed, and that there will be a leadership challenge soon. And that is incredibly difficult to call what will happen there. A lot of people saying, well, in terms of people who haven't put their letters in, but who might be persuaded to vote against Boris Johnson, there might also be the numbers there, finally. That's not been the case up until now, but there is increasing, I think, disillusionment with the Prime Minister. As we head to the next set of by-elections that are coming up, increasingly it looks like the Lib Dems will do well in one, and in Wakefield, where the Labour Party crumbled, increasingly it looks like the Labour Party might come back.
That would be a heck of a blow, wouldn't it?
It would be, and it is that question, a bit like when we have the local elections. The Tories were saying, well, let's wait until the local elections, let's see what the results are. It's that continuation of, well, how much longer can you continue to wait? And if Boris Johnson, his big plan is to roll out, more money for the NHS, big revamping of the NHS, that could take a very long time to see any sort of impact.
Well, the announcement might look good. A lot of cynics will just say, hang on.
And a lot of Tory MPs would sit there and go, well, actually, do we have the time to wait and see if Boris Johnson's... will he succeed where all other Prime Ministers effectively have failed, which is, getting a handle on NHS spending and on its performance? Let's be honest, it's not really since the last Labour government that actually there's been any sort of positive trends when it comes to the NHS. Is Boris Johnson really the man to do it? I would suggest, actually, that there's not a lot of confidence within the party that he would be the person to do that, especially if his support is dissipating.
So things are going to get very interesting over the next week or so.
Always are.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.